With Moho, you can enable physics that react to other objects as well as gravity. And you have a lot of options in between that you can adjust, such as torque, force, and more, that can change the way the animation looks. So to get started, we have a group here comprised of 6 vectors. And it's just 6 cans stacked on top of each other. Now, in order to enable physics, you do need to have a group that you want to apply the physics to. In this case, it's the cans. And I want to double click on that group to go inside. At the top, you have the ability to click on physics. And by default, physics will be turned off for groups. If we come in here and enable physics, we have a couple options we can look at. We can choose if we want gravity direction to be set a certain way, as well as gravity magnitude. The direction will, of course, determine where the pull is coming from, in this case, directly beneath the objects, and how much that's going to be impacted is based on magnitude. So now, I'm just going to go ahead and click OK and close this. And if we play this out, you can see that the cans just drop immediately. Because they do have physics built in, they're just going to go in and animate out. Now, there's nothing stopping them from falling, and we can prevent that here by creating a shelf. But before we do that, I also want to point out, if you go to any of these vectors, you're going to see the physics adds in keyframes on the timeline. You can see that we have the keys here, and it's just animating out automatically. So I'm going to go back here to frame 0, and with this group selected, go to new vector, and let's make sure we put that vector inside of the group. And we can rename this then to, let's just say, shelf, and hit enter. I'm going to come up here and grab the create shape tool, and we'll just do just a simple shape for this. So come in here, and I'll add in a little shelf going like this. And I'm actually going to bring this all the way down to the bottom, so that way it looks like the cans are sitting on the shelf. So now, if I were to come in and just play this out, the shelf drops now too. So what are we going to do? Well, we can come back here and double click on shelf and go to physics. Since we've enabled physics on the group, we now can go in and adjust each individual item if we wish. In this case, we want to set this to a non-moving object, and then go ahead and click OK. If we play this back again, you'll see that the object is remaining stationary while the cans fall on top of it. So that's pretty cool. So now let's come back here to frame 0. I'm going to go back to the physics, the group that is, double clicking on the group and go into your physics. And here I'm going to adjust the gravity. It's going to come in here and we're just going to bring this back to, let's say, 5 and click OK. And you can see now, as I've adjusted the amplitude, it's making it a little bit slower as they fall. And if we double click on this, we can keep changing that. So if we wanted the amplitude to be lower, we can adjust that, come in here, and you can see now that they are falling slower, and perhaps that's something more that you would want to see. Now, something to note, when you're going through this process, let's say I'm on frame 1 and I want to change this keyframe, I actually can't do that by default. It's only going to allow us to animate with physics. So you can't come in here and make any changes, at least not right now. So we need to be back on frame 0, and I can grab this and let's just move it down like this and play it out and see what it does. So you can see now that they drop, and that makes for a more interesting animation. So now let's go a little bit further with this. I'm going to grab the draw shape tool. I'm on frame 0 and I'm on the shelf layer. I'm just going to come in here and draw 2 pieces like this. And then we can play this out. And you can see now that this is containing the cans, so that way they don't fall. Well, what happens if I come back here now, and we're going to duplicate can 1, and we can bring this one, let's say, up like this. So with the can in the air, if we play this, you can see it goes like that. So again, you're able to go in and create these walls and create different things, and you can easily duplicate and make these adjustments. Now you can go further with each individual setting. So if we come in here and let's go, for instance, to the can that we just set up at the top and go to physics, we have more options that we can enable beyond just creating a non-moving object. As an example, if we start asleep and hit OK and play this out, you'll see that it's going to remain in the air. And what's actually going to happen here is it won't react until something else triggers it. So if I were to, for instance, come back and grab this can and let's say move it all the way up here and we play this out, you can see now once it gets hit, then it's going to react. And we can come back here and just keep looking at more options. You could, if you wanted to, have an initial direction or speed with that object to start. You can also set the lifetime frames, which is currently set to 0, which means it'll animate until it's done. But if you don't want it to do that and you want it to stop maybe at a certain point, that's what that option here is for. You can also adjust the density and friction and springiness. So if I come over here and I'm actually just going to undo this really quick so that way we can bring this can back to where it was at the top. And I'm going to be working with this one here. And just to recap, if we come in here and drop this, let me make sure I have this set to not sleeping when we start. You can see it just kind of drops in. But if we come over here and we start to play with this, let's say we increase the density and the friction and the springiness and hit OK. I went a little bit too far with some of those values, but if we come in here now, we can actually make adjustments to how this is going to be affected. Let me come up here and just drop this a little bit higher. You can see that it has more of a springy bounce to it. It's going to react a little bit more violently compared to the others. And we can choose to pivot from origin as well. So right here, we can choose pivot on origin, which will make this react a little bit differently. We can enable a motor and even have motor speeds going on here, as you can see. So if we go ahead and click OK, you can see here that it's doing this spinning effect now. It's actually not really even reacting to the gravity. So if I come back, and it's spinning from the origin, and my origin point is outside of the can. But if we come back and put it, let's say right here, and play this out, you can see that's being stopped by that boundary. Let's come over here and let's just shrink this a little bit. Let's bring it to like about like that. Bring it down. You can see that it's reacting with this, and then it stops, which again is kind of interesting with how that works. So again, you can keep coming in here and just adjusting all of these things until you get it to where you want it. See, now with the torque, I'm able to come in and move that around, just like that. So there's definitely a lot to play with here when it comes to physics. If you're looking to create a scene or sequence that looks grounded with the gravity, with how objects are interacting with each other, there's definitely case uses for this. Maybe a character opens a cupboard and a bunch of stuff falls out, and you don't want to go through the process of, trying to animate the physics of things bouncing on the ground and rolling and all that. Well, just enable some physics, add in your objects, play around with the settings, and see what that can do for you.